the top of your screen? Perfect. So we are doing that just because some people might not be able to attend, so we will need to share that with them later. If you're not feel comfortable with that, you can just turn off your video so you cannot be seen in the recording. So today's event is going to include presentations and introductions from colleagues who hold key and enabling roles in the department. We're going to have head of the department, Professor Elizabeth Sepper, the Director of Studies, Dr. Daniel Boswell, our departmental tutor, Dr. Elizabeth Lomas, Professor Sam Rayner, who is also the faculty's Vice Dean for Wellbeing, Dr. Caroline Davis, our graduate tutor, Dr. Alison Hicks, who's going to talk to us about careers, and also our academic colleagues and the professional services team. So after this, we will also open the stage for questions. So please use the chat to write any questions you might have, either during the event or at the end of the session. You might also know that this is a live synchronous event, and there will be videos on Moodle's induction page from some of the colleagues who will be presenting today, but Daniel Boswell will be going through the Moodle induction page later on. So this is enough from me, I think, for now. But before we begin, I would like to ask you to do something. In the beginning of each academic year, we love getting a sense of the cohort for the year, where you're coming from, which city, how international we are going to be in general. So what I would like to ask you to do is to go to the chat right now and just type the city and the country of your origin. So I'm gonna go and start typing for mine as well. Just go to chat and just type the city and the country so we can scroll down and see where everyone is coming from. I'm gonna do mine. I love that, so many. Wow. I'll give us 30 seconds just to scroll through because I can see countries all over the world. UK, of course. Oh, that's amazing. Indonesia, China, Brazil, South Korea, Spain, Malaysia, Wales, Iran, Cyprus, USA, amazing, India. I'll let you go through that later on so I don't steal time from my co-speaker. So that's amazing. This is amazing. I'm not going to say more. I will let you browse and have a look to see where people are coming from. But I'm sure this is going to be a great and very diverse year. So after this little icebreaker, let's begin. And we will start our session with our head of the department, Professor Elizabeth Seppert. Elizabeth?
Thanks, Dimitri. So it's my very great pleasure to welcome all of you. It's always a thrillingly international group of students and indeed of staff. And it's amazing that you've all been able to come and study with us in the Department of Information Studies. So really, really big welcome to all of you. I hope you will have a fantastic year with us, and we are certainly ready to teach you and to see you, and we're really looking forward to being able to teach in person at least part of the time again. So a really, really big welcome. I think you probably know, but we are a department which covers 5 disciplines across information studies. So we started out as the first British School of Librarianship back in 1919, and we celebrated our centenary therefore a couple of years ago, and we created what I think is an amazing website, timeline and exhibition. So do go and have a look at that, because you, of course, are our next centenary. You are our next century when you are as our students and then as our alumni. So you're part of that history now, and it would be great if you have a look and see the history of this department. But having moved on from only librarianship to start with, took us about 50 years, but then we added archives and records management. Then in the 1970s, information science, which is now knowledge, information and data science. And then in the 2000s, we added digital humanities and publishing. So we're a really diverse information studies department, but really diverse across these disciplines. And most of you on the postgraduate talk programs will be studying in one or of those one of those disciplines. But don't forget that actually there are 5 information disciplines across the department, and it would be great if, while studying your speciality, you also take the time to find out what people in other disciplines are doing and what they think and how they see the information studies world. So that would be great. Some options are shared across, but even just chatting with people who run different programs in the coffee room or whatever. We also have a thriving doctoral program, and we've about 30 students in the doctoral program, and we've got some incoming students, and they do all kinds of different things across all these disciplines. And then we teach on an undergraduate information management for business degree, which is run from the School of Management at UCL. So we're a pretty diverse department, hiding under that tag information studies. I guess really, so my colleagues will talk to you a little bit about the style of learning and teaching that we're planning to adopt this year, how the blend of face-to-face, online, synchronous, online pre-recorded, and lots of other resources which will be in the Moodle for you, how that's all going to work, who's going to do what, and how the blend should work. But really, I wanted to say, get the most out of your education. Whatever happens, we have a great plan. Let's see how we go through the first and second terms. We might need to be flexible. We will do our best to keep you up to date with exactly what's going on. You should have met your program teams this morning. And you will also know by now who your personal tutor is, and your program tutors and your personal tutor are the first port of call. So they're the most important people, plus your colleagues, of course, your fellow students. But then you'll also hear this afternoon a little bit more from some of the other staff in the department who can help you if you can't find out from your personal tutor or program module tutors exactly what should be happening and what's going on. So do ask. We're quite a friendly collegiate department. Please ask. Don't feel it's a silly question or you're supposed to know something. If you don't, please find somebody to ask and we will help you. I just wanted very briefly to say, obviously we are still in the COVID pandemic. We really want to keep the campus open. To do that, we all need to work together. Please get yourself tested twice a week. You can get the lateral flow test, which you just do at home. It would be great if you just did those twice a week before you come onto campus, so that you can reassure yourself that you don't have symptoms or are not infectious at that point. Mask wearing, please wear masks, bring your own. Please wear them when you're on campus. And at least at the beginning of term, we are going to ask students and staff to wear them during teaching, unless, of course, you have a medical exemption. That's absolutely fine. And if you have symptoms, don't come on to campus. Please stay home, get a test, make sure it's not COVID before you come back onto the campus. So if we just all take those steps and are considerate and helpful to everybody else, then with a bit of luck, we'll be able to keep the campus open, which is in everybody's interests. So I just wanted to say those things. So I wish you an excellent return or start to your education in the Department of Information Studies. I'm sure you'll have a great year. We are certainly looking forward to teaching you. So have a great year as the year progresses. Take advantage of being in London. You're here in London. It's got the most amazing things to go and do. Lots of free things as well, like free museums and all sorts of wonderful places you can visit. So take advantage. I know you'll be busy studying, but take advantage of the fact that you are in one of the most amazing international cities in the world, even beyond just being at UCL, which is pretty phenomenal in itself. So welcome and thank you very much. So I think that's all from me, Dimitri.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Yes, that's great. Just taking my notes, but I think Daniel will be the next one. Daniel Boswell.
Yes, hi, thank you very much, Dimitri, and thank you, Elizabeth, for that wonderful introduction to the department. I'd also really encourage everyone to go and engage with those centenary event materials that you can see about the department, because a lot of work went into developing them, and as everyone's registered, it was a difficult year last year to have as the centenary as well. And there's wonderful stuff to find out there and wonderful history that you're all part of now. So as Dimitri and Elizabeth said, my name is Daniel Boswell. I'm a lecturer in teaching on the publishing MA. So all the publishing students have already met and heard me going on for ages. Sorry, all, hi. But for all of the rest of you, I'm speaking to you now in my capacity as Director of Studies for the Department of Information Studies. And what that means is that I'm responsible for coordinating and adding a little bit of oversight to the delivery of all modules across the department, just to check that there's kind of consistency in there, and to try and help offer knowledge across the different modules, across the different programs, to see how we're all sharing practice and making as robust a teaching experience for all of you as possible. What that means this year specifically is helping to kind of implement this blended teaching approach that we've got. And this is something that's being delivered in some capacity across all of UCL. In fact, I've got a little link that I can post in the first instance for all of you about the kind of central statement from UCL about what this involves. And I'm just going to put that into the chat for you here. But in summary, it was developed as a consequence of feedback from students last year in their experiences, and trying to find the best way for everyone to return to campus in an accessible way, whilst maintaining those elements of online learning that actually worked very effectively. This year, what that means is that most small group teaching in whatever capacity across UCL, we are trying to deliver face-to-face. And that means that for you, things like seminars, workshops, maybe some labs or practicals might be in person, whilst extended lecture-based content, large group teaching, what would have traditionally been delivered in that way, can move to an online space. Now, this will really vary from program to program and module to module, entirely depending on what it is that you're engaging with. And I'm sure already all of your program inductions have or will be going into detail about what that looks like for you on your individual programs. But for now, you should understand that that's the approach being taken by UCL, and that you can expect, as long as we can maintain the status quo that we have right now, that kind of delivery. In part, what that also means is that I'd like to encourage everyone, like Elizabeth, to consider, for the sake of everyone, respecting the regulations that are in place around COVID, being aware and supportive of one another through this, and also knowing that we're here to support you if you have any concerns about that. As Elizabeth said, if you are experiencing symptoms or anything, please do stay at home. Don't feel that you've got to press yourselves to come in for this, and that's for the best and protection of everyone. But do always feel that in addition to your program teams, who are your first port of call and your personal tutors to discuss this, you can also contact me to discuss any concerns you might have about engaging with education and your teaching across the department, and I'll do my best to support that and coordinate issues for you. In addition to all of the different modules that you're going to be engaging with on your programs, and perhaps beyond with options, the other thing that I'd like today just to talk to you briefly about is a departmental module that we deliver that is available to all of you as postgraduate taught students across the department. This is our dissertation module, which you won't be able to see at the moment on Moodle, but will be made accessible for you from next week, from Monday next week. It'll be INST 0062. And that module is one which is being delivered entirely remotely this year. You don't need to come onto campus for it. Initially, the material is available for you to access anytime you like, and then we'll look to build in slots in term 2, possibly, where you can engage in drop-ins and discussions. This is a module that's going to run all year long and is accessible to all students, so you might get opportunities to interact with one another and discuss your common experiences of carrying out research by engaging with it. In term 1, we'll look to provide you with a kind of foundational layer of skills, study skills that will build into your research. And in term 2, start introducing you to some of the methods and practices that you might want to be implementing for your own dissertations that you'll be doing if you're full-time students in term 3 or next year as part-time students. We're also, and I'd just like to say now, a brief welcome to all of our doctoral students as well, new and returning. We are looking to involve you, you wonderful advanced researchers, in the delivery of this module, and I'm currently in discussions with the graduate tutors about this, so that our master's taught students can gain the benefit of your experience with research and hear about all of the exciting things that you've been working on. So we're looking forward to delivering that. Finally, just one last thing that I wanted to share with you all, and I'm going to share screen for this, if that's okay, is our departmental induction page that we have created this year. And this is in order to minimize the kind of cognitive overload that is happening for everyone. Hoping I've shared the right screen here. I have an awful lot. Have I got the Department of Information Studies 21-22 screen up? Is that the right one? Thank goodness. So I've got a lot of screens in front of me right now, everyone. So this is the departmental Moodle page, which should act as a portal for all of you to explore. You know, after this call, you can go and have a look at it and see all the various resources there, so that in addition to the things that we say today, you can return to or re-inquire. You'll be able to find access to the Student Handbook here, which is your first and major resource put together by our wonderful PS team for information about your experience while studying within the department. We also have a statement about internal and external communications on here, which I think Elizabeth Lomas, our departmental tutor, is going to be talking about a little bit in a moment. What I really want to point you to in the first instance are some recordings that we've made for you alongside this introduction that we're giving you now. And that includes a welcome from our head of department, introductory videos from myself and Dr. Elizabeth Lomas, our departmental tutor, and also a wonderful welcome from our departmental administrators, who are the true overseers of our department and know how to do everything. So when we don't, they're there to help control. And that's Ian Evans, Laura Keshab, Sarah Davenport, as well as obviously Dimitri, who's introduced himself to you, and Fernando and Hannah, who we have in the back, but always helping with timetabling. Thank you very much to all of our admin team for everything that they do to facilitate things. You'll get to know them very well over the year. In addition, on the induction page, you'll find access to more details about the timetable for this week, the social event that we're putting together on Wednesday. That's Dr. Adam Krimble and myself, and I imagine in your program teams, you'll have had some brief mention of that already, but you can find more there. And a variety of introductory resources that are available to you from across our Faculty of Humanities, the Student Union, and UCL at large, including a series of welcome events that have links there. So please do go and explore this page, this hub, to find out all the information you need this week if you're feeling lost. If you have any questions, you can get in touch with me. And I think that was everything that I actually had to say. Sorry, I just stopped myself there. Thank you very much. Oh, and I do remember one other thing that I wanted to point all of you to. I've asked staff in this little initial introduction to possibly point out things that might be useful to all of you throughout the year, whether it's their experiences around UCL or things that they love in London. Elizabeth already mentioned the fantastic museums, and when we go around staff in a moment, I'm sure they'll have some things to point to. I just wanted to point out a little top tip to all students who are currently enrolled at UCL that often doesn't get made enough of. And that is that as new members of the university, you all have access, in addition to all of our wonderful library resources, to a LinkedIn Learning account through UCL. And it's actually an incredible repository of additional skills training that you can engage with in an e-learning capacity. I'm just going to share screen one more time and show you that if you go on to this, you can find a variety of different training courses, which will be really, really useful to so many of you throughout the year. So if you just have a look here, this is just the academic study skills portal for the UCL page, which is curated for you to go and engage in a variety of different ways with learning topics that might be beyond the boundaries of your program. This is just the beginning of the kind of courses and training videos and things that are available to you on here. And this is a really valuable additional resource. So please don't be afraid to explore that. And if anyone wants more information about it, I'm happy to talk to you as well. You can just access directly by searching for LinkedIn Learning UCL and logging in through your normal institutional login. You'll get access to all of this. Okay, that is everything from me, and I'd like to now hand over to our departmental tutor, Dr. Elizabeth Lomas. Thank you very much, everyone.
So I'm going to share some slides just so I don't forget anything. Can you see those? Hopefully. So I'm the departmental tutor, and my role is very much student facing. And so I'm here, if you want to discuss something more generally above your program level, if you want to work on something and coordinate something across, we're keen to hear. And sometimes we will have pots of money and the ability to bid for opportunities for programs or coordinated cross-program events. So Sam managed to get wellbeing money, for example, last year for us to do things. I work very closely with Sarah Davenport in this kind of student-facing role. I chair the Extenuating Circumstances Committee, and Sarah is the secretary on that, and in reality the font of all knowledge. So Sarah and I work very closely together, and Sarah actually does a lot of the work. So in terms of that kind of student facing role, I hope on all of your program sessions you've had flagged to you the idea of having program reps, and they can be a mediation point for different issues to be raised across. And those reps also come to both our teaching committee, which Daniel chairs, and student staff consultative committee, which I chair. So in the teaching one, you'll hear more generally about our plans and what's going on. And in the student one, we'll be very much wanting to hear your kind of feedback around how your experience is working for you. And it's an opportunity to hear how things are and learn and say, oh, something's happening on a different program. Actually, that would be really helpful to us. And of course, those reps have also become a really important conduit for connecting people in online and in-person ways. Okay, so moving on to the next point, though, is I'm also responsible for making sure that people have their personal tutor meetings. All of you that are starting now should be meeting with your tutors, and that provides a single point of contact so that you can actually have someone who's advising you on a range of things. So they're giving you practical guidance, support and encouragement, both in an academic sense, but also in a pastoral sense. And not all universities that you come from will have that kind of academic and pastoral link. So they'll advise you on specialist sources of support and encourage you to make sure that you do take advantage of those sources of support and do things like get any reasonable adjustments made that you need, and that we understand what you need, and they'll work with you on kind of supporting you more generally. So they'll help you have the kind of best experience throughout the year. And as you move towards the end of your journey with us, they'll also be discussing job applications, CVs. They'll perhaps be the first point of contact for your reference. So they're that kind of single point of contact more generally. Obviously, if it's a module issue, you go to your module tutor, but the personal tutor can provide a real kind of umbrella of advice, and they're there to make sure that you get the right academic support as well as personal support. And as Daniel said, there's a range of packages you can look to getting sources from, but I would point you to the kind of broad set of study skills and e-learning that you can access to really make sure you get the most of things like the library, for example. The library is a fantastic resource at UCL, and we pay for massive subscriptions, but we also have all kinds of learning skills content on there, and that's a really amazing resource. So look at the kind of sites and make sure you really take advantage of them. I'm also just going to point out the plagiarism and the issues around plagiarism. So it's really important that you understand about academic misconduct and that you cite properly. And the unfortunate reason you could see me is if you try and cheat or do something untoward. Obviously, if you're not understanding what you should be doing, speak to your personal tutor and they will help guide you. That's the critical thing. Don't just panic and cheat. If you go to an essay factory, that is seen as contract cheating, and a really dim view is taken of that, and you could actually lose your place at UCL. So we've never had that happen here, but we hope we never will. Please, though, take it really seriously about the citation, because you will be penalised if you even inadvertently don't cite properly, you could have penalties applied. So engage with that learning, not to be too scary, but just kind of engage with it and speak to someone if you don't understand it. So the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about was the communications. And obviously we will now have the great benefit that we can all network and communicate in person as well as online. And a really valuable part of coming to UCL is that studying in shared spaces with peers and being able to discuss challenging topics in a safe space. So the information world is a complex world, and we'll be, no doubt discussing things like misinformation, disinformation, social media, the pros and cons of the great Facebooks and Googles of this world. And it's really important to make sure that everyone feels included and no one feels bullied in those contexts. But equally, people come to subjects with not always knowing things or making mistakes, and we have to help each other go on a learning journey together and learn from one another. So we ask you to kind of work with your peers, to be sympathetic and to kind of engage positively. We particularly ask you to commit to an ethos of allyship, where we promote support and celebrate people who identifies in ways that we might not. So we, wanting to be a really inclusive community, internally and externally. When you communicate externally, your external networks are going to be important for your future moving forwards, as you're all kind of information professionals. Think about how you present yourself. We do obviously, promote freedom of speech. So, it's up to you how you present yourself. What we will ask you not to do is not to criticise staff by name. You might have frustrations with our course. We hope you come and tell us about them. But what we won't do is we won't engage in some kind of argument over social media. If you spot somebody, being defamatory about a member of staff, don't engage with that either in that context. Just come to us and we'll work on that. So we would really say that you're not to name staff in negative ways online, because staff don't have the right to reply. So I think it's really important to understand why we have that rule. But obviously we want to hear if you've got concerns, and we want to kind of work with you and give you all a positive experience. And one of those ways of being positive is about, we want you to stay healthy and well. We know that there's a lot of anxiety around what it's going to be like coming back to campus. So that's another thing to talk to your personal tutor about. But also, it's really important that you tap into and make the most of the massive services that UCL have contracted in to provide student support and wellbeing and disability support. And do as I say, get your summary of reasonable adjustments in place if you need to have that statement, taking into account any online and in-person issues. If something were to go wrong, then there is a report and support tool as well that I should say, where you can make kind of anonymous complaints if you didn't feel able to come to us. But otherwise, we hope that you would come and discuss and communicate things with us. In the year, nobody knows what's going to happen. And if something does go wrong in your life, then we do also want to provide support for you. Those student services can provide counselling and a wide range of mentoring services. So again, discuss those with your personal tutor. where you have more complex needs, you'll perhaps come and discuss those with me. And if something goes wrong, sorry, coughing away from talking too much, then we have got an extenuating circumstances process. So come and speak to us. We'll see if there's any kind of extensions or mitigations that we can put in place for your circumstances. In some instances, for long extensions, there's a need for evidence. I would say to all returning students, it's going to be slightly more of a return to the old regime. So the new requirements have yet to be released. We're expecting them imminently, and we'll be circulating them. So for anyone that's logging in that's returned from last year, it's not exactly the same process that's likely to be in place for extensions. And of course, all of the information is in the induction programme, but also in our DIS Handbook about how things are going to work. So we're going to be updating that. And there will be a form where you submit your extenuating circumstances, but personal tutors can help and work with you if you do need extensions or some kind of mitigations. And we really hope that everyone has a really positive year. But, if something isn't going well for you, please do come and speak to us, and don't be embarrassed about you know, everyone will have problems at some point in their life. We hope that you won't have problems this year, but if you do, you know, come reach out to us so that we can help improve your situation as far as we're able. We're just really keen to be open and supportive and give everyone an amazing journey so that you all carry on connected to UCL for the rest of your life. I'm not allowed to microchip you yet, but that is something that may come in the future. And thanks for listening.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So shall we now go to Dr. Caroline Davis, who is our graduate tutor. Caroline?
Oh, hello, everyone. Lovely to meet you. I'm Dr. Caroline Davis. I'm sharing the role of departmental graduate tutor with Anne-Marie Lloyd, who at the moment is in Australia. So the idea is that she'll be in touch with graduate students via email and doing lots of remote sessions, and I'm going to be the sort of on-campus link with the doctoral students who are here. And I gather we have 4 new people in the department, which is fantastic, and I'm looking forward to meeting you. And also Anne-Marie is doing an induction session tomorrow. She wanted me to remind you that she's doing an induction session tomorrow in the research methods in information studies module. That's INST 0056, and that's tomorrow morning, and you should have information about that, but if you haven't, do email me. And we've got lots of nice events this term for the doctoral students, both the continuing students and also the new ones. So there's going to be these fantastic shut up and write sessions on Thursday mornings from 10 till 12, and those are remote this term. Some PhD cafes on Wednesday from, actually they're different times, but I'll be in touch with you about those. So those are sort of alternate through the term. And then there's the research methods class on Tuesday mornings. I think that's from 10 till 12, but Anne-Marie's been in touch with you about that and will continue to run those. Yeah, so I'd love to meet you all. And my office is in Foster Court, G30. And yeah, just please do come and see me if you're passing. And I've got office hours. I'd love to meet you. That's on a Wednesday morning. I'll be in this term, and but otherwise just email me and we'll arrange another time to meet up. So yeah, thank you very much, Dimitri. Over to you again.
Thank you, Caroline, and apologies I didn't say that you are sharing the role with Anne-Marie, of course.
Yeah.
So now let's go to Professor Sam Rayner, who is one of our academic colleagues, and obviously for publishing, and she's also the Vice Dean Wellbeing for the Faculty of Arts and Humanities. Sam?
Thanks, Dimitri. So my bit's going to be quite short because actually bits of it have already been touched on by Daniel and Elizabeth. And if I can just also follow the pattern of sharing my screen. So just a few links here just to follow on so you can see a couple of things. I don't know how many of you have managed to have a look at this faculty welcome page, but there is the new extraordinary is what we're calling it, Arts and Humanities Welcome 2021. There's a lot of really kind of good stuff there, but in terms of places you can go and have a look at, visit, advice about your learning, and the living quarter, which is the bit that my wellbeing kind of sits under there, you'll find, you won't be surprised in fact to find there's quite a lot about reading for wellbeing and different events going on at the start of term, but also other arts and humanities things that you might find interesting. So we're lucky at UCL, we have a world famous arts department called the Slade, and it's their 150 years of that this year, so there'll be a lot going on around campus to celebrate that. So if you're into art, this is definitely going to be a good year for you at UCL. If you're into drama, there's some fantastic clubs and societies. And then we've included things like, if you want to go for a walk, there's some suggestions for nice walks around London and bicycle routes and things like that. So do have a look at that. Elizabeth has already touched on the student support and well-being, and she said how much there is. There is an awful lot. So this is the web page, support and well-being, and you can see there are quick links there for you, a whole range of issues, from the kind of very serious mental health issues if you've got to, you know, if you have problems with financial support, anything like that, there will be a link in these pages for you to access. Lots of different sections here for you to look through, as you can see. And then finally, if I can get at this one, I just wanted to highlight this newish service that is free to all staff and students now at UCL. It's only come online in the last few months, but it's called Silver Cloud, and you find it just by Googling Silver Cloud UCL, and it's a suite of online courses, CBT courses, and things like that. They're quite good, they're quite short, and again, it's just another resource that you've got at your disposal that might be useful at some point during the year. So do have a look at that, and if you've got any questions or indeed any suggestions, this wellbeing role at faculty level is still relatively new, and I'm always very willing to listen to suggestions that students have got about things that they might want to do around wellbeing, and feedback in terms of how successful you think some of these initiatives are. So please do get in touch, and be aware that we are a very supportive department, and we're held within a larger umbrella of faculty and then UCL-wide support services. So sometimes it's a bit overwhelming because there's so much, but as Elizabeth Shepherd said at the top, please don't be afraid to ask somebody, and we will be able to help you navigate your way through. Thank you very much. That's all I want to say, Dimitri. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. And if you could share those 3 links, Sam, that would be great, so students can access them. And now we go to Dr. Alison Hicks, who is gonna tell you a little bit more about careers. Alison?
Thanks, Dimitri. Hi, everyone. My name is Alison Hicks. I'm the Programme Director for Library and Information Studies, and I'm also the Departmental Careers Tutor as well. So I know it seems very early to be thinking about your careers and just decision-making for career planning, but we just wanted to highlight we've got a few different things available to you this year. You should all have been registered for the Department of Information Studies Careers Moodle. And that's got a huge amount of information on that, including a link to a video for our careers tutor. So we've got a specific careers tutor associated with our department. You will also get regularly weekly emails, which are highlighting upcoming opportunities which might be of interest to you. So these are sometimes events or workshops or employer events, anything at all that careers thinks that we might be interested in, they'll send that across to us. Generally, these are very helpful, very targeted to our needs, which is great. Otherwise, career service is an amazing opportunity. It's an amazing resource. So as well as doing the Moodle and the various emails, they do have a very active program of events. So workshops, you know, things as varied as LinkedIn profiles and CVs, interview preparation, but also help with visas if you're an international student who might want to stay in the UK, etc., etc. These are all run throughout the year, free. Feel free just to sign up through the careers website. So that's a fantastic opportunity. Secondly, they also run one-on-one appointments. So if you want to sit down with an advisor for 30 minutes, then they will do this with you to look at your CV. If you want to have a practice interview for a job, they will do this. And I've had some amazing feedback about how useful this service is. So make the most of that, sign up for it. Very finally, we are actually also organising a career taster session, that will be at the end of November, and I'll send out more details about that, but it'll be an opportunity to meet UCL alumni who've graduated from our programme and sort of get insight into their careers, get a bit of networking in as well from people who've been in a very similar position to you. So I'll send details around about that. That will be held online in November, so I hope to see you there. So that was all. Please look at the Moodle, and I'll now pass it back to Dimitri.
Thank you, Alison. Thanks everyone for those presentations. So that's gonna be the last one, and it's mine, and I promise I'm gonna be very quick. So before I start my presentation, I would like to start by introducing the members of the professional services team, who are the ones, especially the teaching and learning administrators, your program administrators. These are the ones who you will be seeing the most during your studies here, therefore the most important. So in our teaching and learning team, you've probably met them already. We have Sarah Davenport, Ian Evans, and Laura Keshav. They've also made a video, as Daniel said, about the roles and what you need to know. But I think it would be great if they could introduce themselves if they are here and say something about the role if they want, or anything I might have forgotten to cover. Shall I start with Sarah? I cannot see who is here, so I'm going to start with Sarah.
Okay, I'm here. Thanks, Dimitri. So I'm Sarah. I am the Program Administrator for the Digital Humanities and Knowledge, Information and Data Science program. It's a bit of a mouthful. The role of a Program Administrator is to deal with any of the administrative aspects of your program. So module registration, queries about coursework submission, any queries about enrollment, all that type of thing. So we're here to help you through with any admin queries that you might have. Elizabeth Lomas earlier referred to the Extenuating Circumstances panel. So I am the secretary for the Extenuating Circumstances panel. Any queries you have about extenuating circumstances, please just drop me an email. As Elizabeth said, we don't yet have the policy for 21-22. It hasn't been published yet. But I will be sending an email out to all students as soon as we know what's happening with that. So we'll send you further instructions. I think that's all I have to say at the moment, but it's really good to meet you all. And I look forward to seeing you all in person at some point.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Sarah. Laura?
Hello. So yes, I'm Laura. I'm the administrator for the Archive and Records Management Program and the Library and Information Studies Program. So some of you will have met me already. And if you haven't met me, that's who I'm the administrator for. I work part-time, so I work Monday, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and my physical actually in the office day is Tuesday. If I'm not in, the office will be manned by somebody, so there'll be somebody available to help you. Similarly, if your query falls on a day when I'm not working, available via email, please. As a team, we work very well together. So if one of us isn't available, there's always somebody on hand to help you. So don't feel that on your particular day, you'll be on your own, because you won't. And welcome, everyone.
Lovely. Thank you so much. And Ian, finally.
Thank you, Dimitri. I'm Ian Evans. So I do a very similar job to Laura and Sarah, but mostly for the MA publishing students and also our research students, PhD and MRes. So from next week, I'll be back in the office on Mondays, Tuesdays and Fridays if you want to come in and see me anytime. But I do work 5 days a week, so if I'm not in the office, I'll be at home, working from home on email. So as Laura said, even if you're not a publisher or a PhD student, feel free to contact me, and we're always happy to hear from you. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you so much, everyone. Well, we also have Hannah James and Fernando Santos. Fernando, he can wave if he's here. Yes, I can see him waving. Fernando will be dealing, he's our departmental coordinator, and he will be dealing with student attendance and monitoring, timetabling, and many other things. So you will be receiving more information from Fernando about student attendance, engagement for Tier 4 students, and more. So stay tuned. And we also have Hannah James, who for the next 4 days is going to be our finance and research officer. I don't know if Hannah is here, if she can wave so you can see her. So Hannah will be moving to another role in the department, dealing with a very big project, funded project, and we will be sending you more information about who is going to be obviously your finance contact in case you need information about claiming expenses, etc. So these are the 6 of us, and we're very happy to have you here and help you. We are based and we are working on campus in Foster Court, and we are all located in Foster Court and mainly in G12, where Ian, Laura and Sarah are, and Fernando, Hannah and I, we are in G15 and G16. So following the guidelines for this year and the blended approach, we will be in the office some days of the week, as Laura said, and we will be working remotely for the rest of the days. Therefore, any queries can be made obviously remotely to your program administrator, or when you are on campus, someone will be there. So you will know when your program administrator is on campus, but if not, someone else will be there, so you will be able to ask what you need to ask. We will communicate, as I said, the exact days for each one of us, and you will know more about how this is going to operate. And we will also share details for Hannah, Fernando, and myself in order for, in case you want to contact us too. So our academic colleagues, program directors, personal tutors, module leaders will have their own ways of being contacted, and you will be finding out more as we go in program level events, I guess. But I will also post later a people page from our website, so you know who we are, academic and BA staff, and you have a directory for everyone. So that's one. Please remember that, and we say that every year, it sounds simple, but it's not happening necessarily. Remember that all of your communications will be received in your UCL email. So please check your UCL email, not your personal email. You can link your personal email to your UCL email, but please check that as often as possible, because this is the only way you will be receiving important updates from the team, from your module leaders, etc. Next thing I wanted to cover is COVID safety. Obviously, we've already covered the most important parts regarding masks, etc. But just for the sake of repeating and making sure that we all know how the year is going to be operating, I'm gonna cover some points as well. Starting by the fact that obviously the campus is open and we want it to stay open for the rest of the year, so you can visit the building, the library and university services, and obviously you will start attending your programs, face-to-face activities next week. Some information you need to keep in mind that in each building we have welcome stations set up at the main entrance, so you will be able to see all of the information about UCL's COVID response, facilities to wash or sanitize your hands, and more. UCL has reviewed the cleaning schedules according to risk assessments, and there is also an enhanced cleaning procedure for surfaces, items, and the teaching rooms. Masks, Elizabeth and Daniel already touched on it. We do expect everyone to wear a mask when walking around the campus. So that means indoors and outdoors when you are on campus, obviously including the classroom. So please make sure you don't forget to bring your mask, but if not, there will be masks available in all of the entrances of UCL. So I will be sending you some more information about that later on. So we do encourage everyone, and we hope that you will be doing that. But UCL also has more information and also a vaccination center as part of the induction. So I'm gonna post that link later on as well. Obviously, if you have an exemption, please let us know, as UCL can also provide you with a lanyard or an exception pin that you can wear. Individuals who are double vaccinated obviously are less likely to become infected and to spread COVID than those who are not vaccinated. However, we can all still become infected. Therefore, as Elizabeth said, we encourage all of you, and this applies to staff as well, to use lateral flow tests 2 times a week, and that you don't come into campus if you are infected or have symptoms. So you will be obviously fully supported if you are unable to attend face-to-face for these reasons. If you test positive, please use the Connect to Protect tool, and I'm gonna send you another link where you can see all of the links that you might need, plus another link with more information on coronavirus and keeping people safe on the campus. I'm going to post some more links. I don't wanna hold more my presentation now about the link for induction. Daniel has posted that, so that's great. There is also a very comprehensive UCL website with detailed information for new students covering enrollment, the UCL app, the online induction, Students Union, IT information for international students, etc. You can also find there the Ask at UCL, which is an online platform you can use and ask anything you need to know. So I'm gonna post that for you, sure. Finally, I'm also supposed to cover a bit about safety on campus. So the link I'm going to post has everything you need, including contact details for well-being services and crisis support, how to call security when you're on campus, information for those affected by harassment, sexual misconduct and violence or hate crime, the department and UCL in general. And it is very important to say, and we say it every year, has a zero tolerance approach to all bullying, harassment, sexual misconduct and hate crimes. So all members of the department and the UCL community and wider society have a right to feel safe. So I will be sharing more information about that with you soon. Also a bit about fire safety and first aid. If you are injured and if you need assistance, depending on the building you are in, please look for a security officer who will direct you to a first aider. And if you are in foster court, that's very straightforward. The security office is on the ground floor next to our offices. So in case of anything that you might need related to health safety or security, you can just visit our security colleagues and they will be directing you accordingly. So that's it from me, really. Just before the end of my presentation, I just wanted to repeat that we are here to help you, all of us, academic colleagues and professional services. We're very happy to have you with us in yet another challenging year. Remember again that no one is used to work or study in a remote, blended face-to-face environment. So there will be issues that we could not expect, but we can all reassure you that everyone has been working very hard throughout the summer so we can be ready for your arrival. We will also need your support too and respect for everyone's time. So if you have a question, please first make sure the answer is not in one of the resources that you already have. You have your student handbook or the website or all of the other links that we're posting for you. We have put lots of effort in having all of the information available for you. So please do have a look. I would also like to ask you to be reasonable with your expectation of response times. Don't forget that everyone had to get used to do things remotely over the last year, and that's the same for all of our colleagues, academic and professional services. We have families, homeschooling, and other things to juggle together with work and working remotely or not. So I would like to ask you to allow reasonable time for us to respond. If you send us an email, try not to email us during out of office time or evenings or weekends. And these are things that will improve everyone's well-being, your well-being, and staff is trying to do the same as well. So that's it. Congratulations for coming to UCL and the Department of Information Studies. And we will be in contact from now on for various issues, and happy to hear and see you in person next week. Most of the times, if not all of the times, as Daniel said and other people said, your program administrator will be the person you need to contact for administrative issues, and obviously your module leader, personal tutor, and program director for academic issues. And please also feel free to come and speak to me if you need anything or to discuss anything confidentially. And I'll be very happy to be conducted or see you when I'm on campus. And I'm here to help. So thanks and welcome again. And I don't know if you have any questions. I'm gonna check the chat right now, but I'm gonna go back to Daniel now, who will be introducing the rest of the staff. Thank you and very nice to see you all.
Thank you very much, Dimitri, for all of that very useful information for everyone. You see, this is why we need all of the PS staff to help navigate everything at UCL for you. I just want to take a brief opportunity now. We also have a number of other members of staff from across the department, many teaching staff that you'll be engaging with in your individual programs, who are here in the call. And without asking them to have to take too much time, they don't have to kind of speak at length here. I'm going to try and go around and ask each of them to very briefly, if it's all right, introduce themselves, just their name, what they're involved with at UCL. And in order to start giving you ideas about the things that we enjoy about UCL, and also about being based in London, I've asked each of them to come prepared with a recommendation for a favorite thing that you do either in London or at UCL as well. So I'm hoping that's all right with the members of staff as we go around. I've tried to take a list of who I can see is on the call. I also think it would be unfair of me to ask that of everyone without coming prepared with my own recommendation. So I will kick that off. I am going to make a food-based recommendation for everyone to begin with, because I largely think with my stomach. So for everyone, my recommendation for you whilst you're at UCL, when you can get onto campus, is to make your way up just beyond Euston to Drummond Street which is a secret gem for a variety of wonderful restaurants, including one of my favorite, and as Lonely Planet puts it, arguably one of the best Indian vegetarian restaurants in London. That is the Divana Belpuri house. I know that it's very popular with UCL students. They do a fantastic buffet lunch up there. Recommend as very important for all of you. So that's my recommendation for you, and try not to take ones. And I'm going to ask my colleague, Dr. Rob Miller, to speak next, please. Rob.
Hi, thanks, Daniel. Well, I think that you've all had too much information today, so I'm not going to try and give you too much more. I'm Rob Miller. I'm the program director of the Kids degree program, and some of you would have met me this morning. I think after this you should take a break. So my recommendation is the following. I'm just going to share my screen if I can. Can someone, can the host, whoever that is, let me share screen? Doesn't matter if you can't, can I?
Rob, you can try now.
Yeah, okay, let me try again. So this is my walk for the rest of the day. This is what I would do if I were you. If it's not raining there, I'm at home, so I don't know what the weather's like there, but why don't you take a walk down to the South Bank? That's one of my favorite places in London. There are concert halls down there, lots of things to see and do. So it says on Google here that it's about half an hour's walk, a little bit more from campus. You can walk down through Covent Garden, across the bridge there, across the Thames, and you'll find plenty of things to do on the South Bank. So there you go. That's it from me. That's my recommendation for the rest of today, or any time when it's kind of reasonably sunny and the weather's not too bad. Okay, there you go.
Thank you very much, Rob. I think that's a really good way of getting used to walking around London as well, for a change, which we don't do enough. I was wondering, could I, Dr. Charlie Inskip's on the call. Charlie, could I ask you to introduce yourself?
Yeah, please. Thank you, Daniel. Here I am. My name is Charlie Inskip, and I teach on the MA Library and Information Studies. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see so many people here today. My research interests are around information literacy and information behavior. So what do people do with information? How do they engage with that and make the most of it if they do? And my recommendation to you, if you're taking that walk that Rob just suggested, then what you'll notice is there are tons of green spaces in London, not just in central London, but all over the place. So if you need to have a quiet sit down and a rest when you're walking around, go to a green space. It's a perfect place for doing research, because a lot of research happens when you're sitting thinking about stuff surrounded by greenery. So go and find your local green space. You'll end up with a better grade at the end of the year. Not guaranteed.
I love that top tip. Spend more time in parks. There are fantastic green spaces in London. It's not something that immediately occurs to everyone. I've next asked our colleague on the publishing program, Caroline Wintersgill, if she would speak. Caroline, are you there? And thank you very much, Charlie.
Hi, everybody. I'm Caroline Wintersgill, and I am a lecturer in publishing. Everybody's been talking about wonderful leisure time things to do. So since I'm a lecturer in publishing, I think I'm going to talk about libraries. You might not want any more libraries. UCL is, has the most wonderful library, and you're also entitled to use Senate House Library. But it's worth bearing in mind, for those of you who don't know London, that you can also join the British Library, which is a most amazing place and has events as well as a world famous reading room. At the moment, you have to make an appointment to become a member, and they're quite booked up at the moment because there are students all around London trying to do that. So I have a second suggestion if you can't wait for that, and that is go and look at the Welcome Collection, which is just around the corner on Euston Road, and you can become a member of the Welcome Collection Library. It is a fantastic reading room. It has all kinds of resources. You can do that for free by taking ID along, and it's a great place to go and have a look at as well. So those are my library tips.
Thank you very much, Caroline. That was my backup, the Welcome as well. The Welcome's fantastic and weird and wonderful as well. You might not find what you expect in that reading room if you go and have a look. Next up is our colleague in Digital Humanities, Ollie Duke-Williams. Ollie?
Hi, everyone. Thanks. My name's Oliver Duke-Williams. I'm a lecturer and the program director in Digital Humanities. So I'll teach those of you doing DH and also some of you doing kids as well. And my recommendation, I don't know whether I can share my screen or not. Just have a look. Yep. Just get the right page ready to go. Is another walk from Foster Court, Mallet Place, to Broadwick Street. Takes about 20 minutes for most people. And there you'll find a replica of the pump famously disassembled by John Snow. There are a number of people who you'll come across in almost any course you're doing at UCL. Jeremy Bentham's one of them, John Snow's another. If you've ever studied history of disease, history of public health policy in Britain, history of data visualization, history of GIS, you'll come across John Snow. And just anywhere walking through central London is really interesting. Keep your eyes open. There's all sorts of interesting things to see along the way. There's a pub next to the pump, which is good. If you don't want to visit a pub, there's lots of cafes as well close by.
Thank you very much, Ollie. I haven't done that walk. I might need to do that. Our next colleague is Deborah Lee. Debbie, are you there?
I am, sorry.
Hi, that's right.
Hi, I'm Debbie, Dr. Deborah Lee, and I teach and do research in the Library and Information Studies program. So some of you have already seen me this morning for a long time. So my tip is really very predictably about libraries. I was going to do a music one, but it didn't work out. So my top tip is that although UCL has some fabulous libraries, as a member of UCL libraries, you can use other libraries, not just those on the UCL campus. So my two favourite ones are the Senate House Library, which anyone who's a member of UCL can become a member of Senate House Library, and also the Institute of Education Library. I recommend these for two reasons. First, in their own way, are brilliant places to study. There's lots of little quiet corners at Senate House Library, though you have to kind of book them now, so you can't be quite as serendipitous as you might have been before. And the Institute of Education, I just love the environment there. Inside the library, it's lovely. But there is a theme here. So my area of research is in something called knowledge organization and information organization, cataloging, classification. And these two libraries, Senate House Library and the Institute of Education, have some really fascinating and unusual classification schemes. So if you want to go and work there, they're great places to work. But if you look at the shelves, you might be wondering what on earth is going on. And they both use some very, very important, what we call faceted classification schemes. Sadly, the one at Senate House is being put out of service, but will take them years. So while you're there, you can actually do your work, but also get to know a bit about something very, very, very important in classification. So that's my top tip, slightly boring and library related, but I think good.
Thank you very much, Debbie. Sorry, those couple of seconds between unmuting when you can't see anyone else on a screen are like hours in the making. It's an unusual experience. That's an awesome recommendation, and thank you very much, Debbie. I've also seen we're getting a few comments now. Some of us, if we're recommending places like the restaurant I recommended, I did put a link to in the chat if you skip back up, but I know it can, when the chat gets long, it can get quite hard to follow all of this. Next, I'm asking my colleague on publishing, Simon Rowbury, to introduce himself briefly. Simon.
Hi, thanks, Daniel. So as Daniel said, I'm part of the publishing program. So I lecture on that course. And in terms of recommendations, I've been in self-imposed exile in Scotland for the last 7 years. So there's not much I can recommend, and I'm very grateful for all these new recommendations. So I'm going to go for something very boring and practical and say one of the most useful websites I've found on all of the resources so far has been a map of where the water fountains are on campus. So I'll share that just in case that is useful information for anyone in terms of being more sustainable and things like that.
Thank you, Simon. We needed to get there at some point. The water fountains, this will become a question that you all have in the next few weeks, I guarantee. The next member of staff I'd like to ask to speak is from our ARM program, Anna Sexton. Dr. Anna Sexton, are you there?
Hi everyone. Hi, yes, I'm Anna Sexton and I'm the Programme Director for Archives and Records Management. You've all totally stole my thunder. I was going to recommend Drummond Street and then I was going to recommend the Welcome Collection. But I'm giving super thumbs up to both of those. I am not from London. I commute in from Brighton. So maybe not for induction week, but at some point, if you are planning a little trip down to Brighton, contact me and I have plenty of recommends, food, shops, things to do, quirky places to explore. So see me as your Brighton person and contact me if you ever plan a day trip down there.
Thank you, Anna, and sorry for stealing your recommendations. I was trying to avoid them with Drummond Street. I thought that might be off the the next member, but I do recommend everyone goes down to Brighton at least once because it's fantastic. And if you love books as well, it's a great place for going, like secondhand book shopping, comics as well. For my comics enthusiasts, go down there. The next member of staff that I'm asking to speak is Dr. Adam Krimble, who just joined us last year. So it had done the entire year online, so is enjoying our return to campus as well. Adam, are you next?
Thank you, Daniel. Yes, my name is Adam Krimble, and I'm a lecturer in digital humanities. My recommendation for those of you who've left a doggy at home and you're missing your doggy is a website called Borrow My Doggy, where you can borrow someone's doggy for the day, take them for a walk and go play in the park or something like that. So I'd encourage you, if you're missing your doggy, to go borrow someone else's.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Adam. I've already been introducing the publishing students to my puppy this morning. Go get yourselves dogs. Borrow my doggy. It's the way to go. Next, and I haven't had a chance to pre-warn him on messages, I'm afraid. I didn't get time, but Antonis, Dr. Antonis Pikakis is here, I believe. Antonis, would you mind speaking next?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Daniel. So boring stuff first. My name is Antonis Pikakis. I'm an associate professor in the department. I've been here since 2011. I'm mostly teaching on the kids program, but the modules that I teach are also available to other students in the department as options. So may see some of the students in the other programs in class. And I'm also the director of research for the department. Now, the most interesting part is recommendations, and there are so many nice things to do in London. One of the things that I really like is visiting the open markets. And there are so many different kinds of markets, like food markets, flower markets, antique markets, book markets, and so on. I will not recommend a specific one, although I have a favorite one, but I will put a link here. And yeah, and some just added a link. I think, is it the Bloomsbury Farm Market? That's also very good, and that's very close to UCL. So for those of you who love food, like me and Daniel, it's really next to UCL. I think it's still closed, but it will be open soon. I just read on their website. So that's open on Thursday mornings, I think. But anyway, visit that link that I sent, and you can find there all sorts of markets, and you can choose any that you like, or you can just visit all of them.
Thank you so much, Antonis. Yes, and that is a fantastic market. I think some people have been putting some links up as well in the chat, which is getting heavy now. I know that also our colleague, Dr. Andreas Blankidis, was in here, but had to leave, unfortunately, for another meeting, but he's put a recommendation up for his favorite thing as well and introduced himself. I had a list of members of staff I could see on the call, but I know that there were a few people who were in that have also dropped out since. Have I missed anyone quickly? I think I've gone through it.
I haven't found up in yet, Daniel. Alison.
Oh, Alison, sorry, I haven't gone through the people who introduced themselves for their recommendations just because we did the induction bit, but please tell us recommendations, Alison. I know you'll have one, please.
Absolutely. So I want to build on Anna's one. Forget the South Coast. I think you should all get yourself down to Paddington for a lovely weekend away in the southwest of England. The pace of life is relaxed. We drink our cider, we eat our cheese, the sun shines and the sea is blue. So come on down to the West Country for a bit of a break from the hustle bustle of London.
I was just typing affirmation that it is the best cider in the country. You don't really understand cider if you drink it here, I'm afraid. Thank you very much, Alison. And that also makes the very good point that to all of you, and I know that many of you are based all over, and we are, whilst trying to teach face-to-face and expecting everyone's engagement with the course, and we're all engaged with the course, we are also based in a variety of places and traveling a lot. And there's a lot of experience to share about all of the UK for those of you international students visiting here, but also those of you traveling from other parts of the country. And we'd like to be able to share that with you. This is just a little bit of a taster of some recommendations from us rather than hearing all the dry stuff about UCL regulations over the course of the term. I think that's everything that we have to go through now, Dimitri. I just want to say thank you to all of the academics who've come and introduced themselves. Our PS staff, I think, are also going to make some recommendations in the chat for you about some things that they think are very good. Now we're just on to the next steps of what you do from here. In the first instance, my recommendation is now that you go and explore all of those resources that we've been highlighting to you, particularly the induction page. In terms of next events and meetings, we have an options fair that is online for you tomorrow morning that is department-wide, and we'll have people who are module leaders for the options that we deliver across the department in this call. You'll all join a central call at the beginning where we'll briefly remind you all of who does what, who runs what module, and then you'll have a list of links available to you to join separate Zoom calls with that individual module leader to discuss their modules, and you can drop in and out of those and ask us any questions you like. It also means that those of you who might be based in programs outside of a module that you're interested in can join and ask us about the availability of those modules in the first place and find out a bit more about any courses that might be based outside of your direct programs. Dimitri, is there anything that I've forgotten to go through before we go on to Q&As?
I think we're done, Daniel. Sorry, I was focusing on my recommendations. I'm typing.
Apologies. Apologies. Sorry to catch you.
I was a bit lost. No, I think we've covered everything. If obviously there are any questions, we can. Yeah.
Just Elizabeth, our head of department. Is there anything else that I've missed there before we?
No, nope. That's all great. So just any final questions that anyone might have.
Brilliant. So yes, as we say, if anyone has any questions they'd like us to address now, please, we're not terrifying. Please do feel free to speak up. You can just undo your mic at this point and ask a question if you'd like. But please also, we do understand if you don't feel comfortable doing that, if you'd like to put a question in the chat. I'm just looking for them now. I see one about exams this year on any of the programs. We don't run summer exams for our masters taught programs, so there are not. I'm not sure about on the undergraduate one, not that that's any relevance to you guys. A very basic question. What do all the abbreviations stand for? Well, we can go round and clarify that. That is something that each of the program directors can do. Sam, you and I can confirm. I don't mind doing it for publishing if you'd like. Ours is a very complex title, MAPUB. It stands for publishing. It's super complicated to interpret. It also shows that I like the pub. That's not a lie, it is true. Okay, next program, Liz.
Yes, the original and best, 102 years and counting. So LIST stands for Library and Information Studies. So we started with libraries, we've now expanded to information professionals as well, and that is where our nickname comes from.
Excellent, thank you. I suppose we can do that in chronology then. So ARM next.
Yes, hello. We stand for Archives and Records Management.
There you go. And so now this is the interesting one that you all get, because I'm going to ask kids to speak. But what you need to know is up until basically this year, was it last year, this year? It was IS, which was probably easier for them to explain. So now kids, who would like to explain kids? Antonis or Rob?
Well, I can explain that. KIDS stands for Knowledge, Information, and Data Science.
Thank you very much, Antonis. So it was just information science before IS that we had.
Yeah, we just added this year knowledge and data because we feel that it better represents what we teach on this program.
And then DH, I think, is fairly self-explanatory. It's UCL DH, the University College London's Centre for Digital Humanities. That's what the DH stands for. Does that, I think that clarifies, I hope that's helpful with the different initials that we have across the department, and it's been typed into the chat for you as well. It was the kids that was throwing you. There you go, that's what the kids is. And you should go along to their options tomorrow to find out more about what they do, if you're still interested. Do we have any other questions there that I have missed as we've gone along? I
think Farah's put her hand up.
Oh, sorry, Farah. I was looking at the chat. Hi. Oh, I'm afraid you're on mute still at the moment, Farah.
Sorry.
All right.
Hi. For the options fair tomorrow, we have one Zoom link. So do we go into breakout rooms after that for different?
Yeah, so what we will do is we'll be sharing a sheet with you of all the additional links where you'll see a list of members of staff's names, the title of the modules that they do, and a link to join their call. So if that looks like a module of interest to you, follow that link and you'll get into a call with them, and they will peel off from the central call that you join initially. So they're coming to that call to remind you who they are on the list, and then you can pick where they go.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Unless I'm missing any hands, the questions seem to have stopped. People talking about library cards and things now. So I think if that's okay, we can stop the recording at this point and finish off for the day. As I said,